is Nick Wright, one of our favorites, first thing first, co-host on Fox Sports 1, and he joins us from his car. Where are you right now?
I'm outside of a Costco, Dan, waiting for some new tires, my friend. That's what I'm doing. But you know what? I always make time for you.
I appreciate
I'll
that.
never say no. Can I tell you a story from married life that has put me in this position?
Sure.
Okay. So, as you can tell and your viewers can tell just from this little snapshot, I obviously have a very fine luxury vehicle, and I bought it recently. And about a month ago, my wife said, we need new tires. I'm like, no, we don't. Just got the car a year ago. Definitely don't need new tires. She said, we need new tires. And I said, okay, I don't know how to say this. I kind of felt like, you know what? That's my territory. This is the car. This is the tires. Like, I know that's anachronistic, but I'm just being honest with you, my friend. So, 2 weeks later, she and I are driving, doing some Christmas shopping. West Side Highway in Manhattan. Feel it. Flat tire. And I swear, Dan, I tried to ignore it. I tried to just pretend it wasn't happening. And my wife says to me, she says, what's wrong with the car? And I don't know what my plan was. I said, nope. She looks out the window. She said, pieces of the tire are flying off. So I'm on the West Side Highway. I find there's no good place to pull over. I pull over. She's like, I'm calling AAA. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm doing this myself. I'm fixing this tire. So I changed the tire, do that. She's like, I told you we need new tires. I'm like, yes, baby, you're right. So that day, buy them on Costco.com. Shout out to them. Set the appointment. Dan, Sunday, I'm sitting there watching football, upset because my Chiefs have lost. My wife is out with my youngest daughter. I get a phone call, and I don't believe in premonitions, but as soon as the phone rang, I was like, Jesus Christ, I bet we have another flat tire. She calls me. It's raining. She calls me. Me and your daughter are on the side of the highway. Another flat. No spare. Put it on. Come on, Dan.
That's what you have AAA for, Nick.
Yeah, you know what? Back when I was a kid, when men were men, Dan, we did that stuff ourselves. Yeah, so new tires.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on here. Who believes that Nick Wright changed the tire?
I have video.
On it. You have video?
What are you talking about? Yeah, because my wife thought I was going to fail. My wife thought I was going to fail.
You are a lug nut. Well, thanks for joining us here. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Aaron Rodgers is a jerk, Baker Mayfield shutting it down, why now, not last week, Jim Harbaugh's story? You pick.
Let's start with Aaron Rodgers. Because the Hub Arkish interview happened on the Parkins and Spiegel show on 670 The Score, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Danny Parkins, but I've known him for 20 years. He and I did college radio together. I think he's the best local talk radio host in America on the sports scene. So I'd like to start there, give him a shout out. Here's the thing. I think Aaron Rodgers is the MVP. I also think this idea, the unanimous Twitter response was, oh my God, this is why media shouldn't have votes. Oh my God, so before Dan, the woke mob comes to put poor Hub Arkish in a cancel culture casket, let me say this. The line of reasoning that Hub Arkish used to not vote for Aaron Rodgers is used all the time in MVP discussions. I had to hear about why is Brady the MVP, even when he doesn't have the numbers. Oh my, he brought his team together. He helped build the roster. He held off-season activities. We always use not just the numbers to make or not make MVP cases. So Hub Arkish feels Aaron Rodgers, non-number stuff works against him. I agree it works against him. To me, it doesn't work against him enough. Like, yes, he maybe cost them the week 1 game with the distractions and played terribly. Certainly cost them the Chiefs game. But despite that, they're still the 1 seed. I don't think Hub Arkish's argument is a ludicrous one. I just think Rodgers' on-field excellence and the Packers' excellence is enough to overcome it. But I think it's totally fair to say, how good of a teammate are you? How much of a distraction do you cause? And weigh that as part of the MVP discussion.
I think if he had chosen different words, then people would have had a different reaction. if you say that he's, the biggest jerk or whatever, you can say, look, he was a distraction, cost his team week 1. And we could argue that, but I think there's validity there. What happened with Kansas City? And at the time I said on the show, this will be held against Aaron Rodgers in the MVP race. It should. Yes, and it should. And I have no problem with that. I just think that the language, or it felt like, hey, here's a Bears guy, and he's going in on a Chicago radio station in a season where Rodgers says, I still own you, and you're playing to your audience a little bit there. I think if the language was a little softer with it, that Hub could have gotten his argument through, and more people would have understood it and said, yes, you're right.
I also think it does reveal this part of it. I think how many people vote for the Heisman Trophy? Like, I assume McLovin, even though he's gone now, I think he got a Heisman Trophy vote when he left. Like, that was part of the package. Like, I think 1,000 people vote for that.
Yeah.
I think that's too many. I think 50 NFL MVP voters, when they only submit one name, not even a full ballot, that's probably too few. Like, I think the NBA probably has it right. 100 voters, and you submit a 1 through 5. That way, the margin for error is, to me, it's not as likely to get screwed up by a few people. And so I think that maybe you could look at it that way. But I think the media should still vote on these things. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's better than algorithms, and it's certainly better than players who are going to have their own biases there.
We're talking to Nick Wright, First Things First, and also a part-time mechanic. He'll work in the pits during the NASCAR season as well.
That's right. No, only European cars, Dan.
Oh, so F1.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, I like that. Do you believe that Jim Harbaugh might be interested in returning to the NFL?
So one of my best friends, I'm going to give another shout out.
You got a lot of friends.
This guy does you, Danny Parkins, and Laszlo. Laszlo does rock radio in Kansas City, or actually nationwide, and he's a diehard Michigan fan. And he said this to me a month ago, and I thought he was full of it. He goes, doesn't it feel like the ultimate Harbaugh move to finally beat Ohio State, to finally win the Big Ten, and then say, deuces, you guys cut my pay. You guys made me eat it. So I've done what I said I was going to do. I've done it. Now I'm out. And when he said it, I thought he was nuts, but it seems reasonable. And while I think there is going to be a chilling effect on hiring college coaches, Harbaugh might be the exception there because he already had great success in the NFL.
I think there's something to it. I wondered if he lost to Ohio State, was he then going to leave and go to the Chicago Bears? Now you win. And I also find the reaction to the win against Ohio State and the blowout loss against Georgia very interesting and very telling in Ann Arbor, because we beat Ohio State. Yeah, but you got blown out, embarrassed against Georgia. Yeah, but we beat Ohio State. If it was reversed, Ohio State fans, we beat Michigan, but man, we got some issues. We got blown out by Georgia. I don't know what Michigan's tolerance level is that as you move forward, you're never going to out-recruit Ohio State.
Listen, the thing is, and you know this better than me, but Michigan and Ohio State are rivals. But they are not in the same class historically in college football. Like, what does Michigan have? One championship in the last, 60 years or something? I don't know. I don't know the numbers. I just know, I obviously used to do the show with Chris Carter, who's an Ohio State guy. And whenever this would come up, he would show me side by side Big Ten titles, national championship. Like, Ohio State is historically a far better program than Michigan. And so, to me, it's not Alabama-Auburn, but it's probably closer to Alabama-Auburn than people think it is.
The Kyrie situation, I know you've been close to it with the Nets, and now he's coming back, but then he can't play home games here. And the vaccine mandate city by city, it seems very fluid right now. But what is that your tire guy right there?
Yeah, Dan, I'm gonna have to take this show on the road. So you keep asking me about Kyrie.
Okay.
My car in.
Okay.
Go ahead. There's gonna be a little rain here, buddy, but we can make it through. I am here for you, Dan Patrick.
Kyrie.
Kyrie.
How do you think this plays out with the Nets and Kyrie?
Terribly. It's an awful idea. I can't believe they're doing it. Everyone agreed it was a terrible idea. Then the Nets said they were doing it, and so people are pretending it can work. It can't work. Here's the only way it could work, Dan, and I'm going to try to get out of the rain for your wonderful viewers and listeners. If they made him the sixth man. If they made him the sixth man, I think that could work. If they were like, we need Katie and Harden with as many critical minutes together, but you can add some punch off the bench in road games. Fine. But they're not going to do that. So I think the more interesting question is this. If they're going to go along with this charade that this actually can work, shouldn't they intentionally make sure they're no better than the fifth seed? If their argument is we are better with all three of them, then don't you want to start every playoff series with 2 games with all three of them and any potential game 7 have all three of them? It's not like, oh, we're going to miss out on the amazing home court advantage of Barclays. They were chanting for John Morant MVP at Barclays a couple days ago. So I think if they're going to do this, but that's why I don't think it'll work, because it's like winning is good, but you know what's also good? Losing. Losing's good too. I think the whole thing is insane.
Yeah.
I just think it's an insane idea, and I don't think a serious organization would engage in it. That's what I think.
Before I let you go and you tend to your tires, Baker Mayfield situation, I don't know why he's shutting it down now, didn't shut it down
So
before. And it feels like he said, I'm not going to play, I'm going to have surgery. And then the Browns have to kind of acquiesce and say, yes, he's shutting it down. Like, what happened? Why not play this next week against your hated rivals, the Cincinnati Bengals?
I don't know. And by the way, the one team Baker has owned in his career is Cincinnati. His numbers against Cincinnati are amazing. Against everyone else, not great. I think he's handled this whole thing terribly. I think that if he shut it down, he would still probably not shut it down. But if he would have gotten surgery when he needed it 3 months ago, missed 5 weeks, come back healthy, maybe he gets a contract. I also think, and this is the point I made on the show the other day, and I'll make it again here. We always hear about all these bet on yourself success stories. And that's because the people who bet on themselves and lose don't tell their stories. They're just sad. Baker Mayfield is a great example of bet on yourself not being a great idea always. If he would have taken the Browns' final contract offer this offseason, call it $30 million a year with $60 million guaranteed. Not only does he then have $60 million guaranteed, I bet he does have the surgery. I bet the franchise makes him.
Yeah.
I bet they're like 3 weeks in. We have a 4-year investment in you. You have nothing else to prove. You won a playoff game last year. You have the surgery. Come back at week 8 and see what you can do. Instead, he tried to gut through it. He is not talented enough to overcome a physical injury when physicality is already his biggest limitation. And instead, I mean, he won the first playoff game that franchise has won in 26 years. First playoff appearance in 18 years. First winning season in a dozen years. And now it's a legitimate conversation like, should they bring in Tyler Huntley? Like, it is crazy how fast and how quickly it has fallen for Baker.
Yeah. Are you getting snow tires or all-season tires?
You know, Dan, again, I don't want to, for the third time on the show, talk about what a nice car I have. But these types of vehicles, you like to have different seasonal tires. You know what I mean? You like to have certain for the winter, certain for the summer, certain that can handle salt, certain that can't. So, that's what I'm doing right now, my friend.
Okay. I'd still like to see the video of you changing. Yeah, as a journalist, of you changing the tire.
Okay. You know what you're also going to see in that video? Because I am shirtless in that video, my friend. You're going to say, my guy, Nick Wright, is a little more rocked up than I thought. You're going to say, my God, this guy hides it well in the suit.
Now I really need to see it.
Okay. I'll text it to you.
Shirtless
Talk to you later,
in winter. I love it. It's so hot.
Listen, man, a man of all seasons. Tires for none.
Thank you, Nick.
See ya.
Nick Wright. First things first. That's interesting. Now I can't get that image of Nick Wright shirtless out there changing his tire in winter in New York.